woke up and the city was on fire. You could see the pandemonium for miles. I've been living with this feeling for a while. If death is coming, I'ma greet so live it up, nigga, we gon' live it up. So can't get enough, ain't no bottom to my cup, no. Just split it up, you know how I like my blunts roll. If I'ma go tonight, then I'ma do it right. So live it up, nigga, we gon' live it up. So can't get enough, ain't no bottom to my cup, no. Just split it up, you know how I like my blunts roll. If I'ma go tonight, then I'ma do it right, yeah. I woke up and the city was on fire. You could see the pandemonium for miles. I've been living with this feeling for a while. If death is coming, I'ma greet 'em with us. I've been living like push the pedal to the metal till I see the flag blowing chunks out the ozone while I burn the gas crackers on my ass. Think I'm finna crash. I ain't worried till I hit the curb. Vision blurs, learn every word. Coupe in is filled with different flavors. They just wanna live something I could give life in the 16. Painting pictures like the 16. Even now I'm on my back staring at the ceiling wondering what this shit mean. I don't wanted this my whole life. Now I'm here feeling so right. Getting faded in the strobe lights. Nigga, I could do this all night. Show me life, show me love, show me something real, show me something brand new. Take your time, ain't no rush. I just wanna feel everything you've been through. We ain't leaving till they shut it down. So take advantage when it come around. Doing damage every time we out. They gon' remember me without a doubt. Up, nigga, we gon' live it up. So can't get enough, ain't no bottom to my cup, no. Just split it up, you know how I like my blunts roll. If I'ma go tonight, then I'ma do it right. So live it up, nigga, we gon' live it up. So can't get enough, ain't no bottom to my cup, no. Just split it up, you know how I like my blunts roll. If I'ma go tonight, then I'ma do it right, yeah. I woke up and the city was on fire. You could see the pandemonium for miles. I've been living with this feeling for a while. If death is coming, I'ma greet 'em with us. Everyone dies, but have you been living? Take full advantage of what you've been given. You woke up, you winning. If that ain't enough, fuck up a check and go live it up. Me and my niggas, we pull up and not ready or not. Before you know it, I'm feeling the vibe. Hard to ignore it, I can't.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday Hump Day edition of the Uninformed Fan. We have the breakdown of Denver and LA, LA, not LA anymore. That is Vegas, both taking down the East in the finals of their respective series. We're going to talk a little soccer before we get into the big U.S. Open of golf. As always, I'm your host, Tyson. With me, my good friend, and settling in nicely to his little house over there, Mr. Jeffrey. How are we doing today, my good friend?
Busy. It's been a busy few days. I knew after moving last week that I had a little 5-day stretch of work. We're on the 5th day. There's no rest for the weary. We have a lot to do still. Got to build some box springs and dressers for this baby coming in a few weeks, and move some stuff at the old house to just complete everything. And it doesn't stop. They said buy a house. They said it'd be easy, it'd be fun. Blah blah blah, and it is. It's very rewarding. When you pull up and you're like, dope, that's mine. But
the juice is worth the squeeze.
A lot of work. It's all right.
Moving
hard work. That's it. That's all I got. What a good mood today.
Moving could be one of the worst things.
Terrible.
It's absolutely terrible. So when I was back with the Hooters days, and I moved 11 times in 11 years. And towards maybe after the 3rd or 4th time, I didn't even unpack anymore. And to tell you how bad it is, after you're saying that, I was out in my garage yesterday and I looked up and there's a couple boxes in my rafters of Hooters curly fries that I still have not unboxed from back in the day. It's the worst thing ever. You unpack everything, you get it on, whatever, you get settled in, and then you're like, hey, by the way, you're moving. Pack it all up again. Oh, dude. But I think in your case, though, this is a one-time shot. As now that I'm in my house now, it's nice. Even though I do want to get the hell out of here, but it is nice.
Right.
I just hate it here. I hate it here. I'm sandwiched in between two schools with no kids. The property taxes are out of control. The HOA is out of control. It's the only thing good is the layout is absolutely great for what we use, and it's very close to Bianca's work. So
my wife's making fun of me because we get the house and I'm like looking around like, why? What are all these cars on the street? I'm running for HOA president next time it's up. Blah blah blah. She's like, okay, here you go, bud. I'm like, I'm gonna go door to door. Watch this. I'm gonna go shake some hands, kiss some babies. We're gonna make it happen. tell you right now.
Change
is coming.
Stay away. you know, Bianca's dad was the HOA president over here. And
Good.
so,
I would love to sit down and talk to him.
It's not about what you could do. It's just the assholes that live in your community and the respect that they don't give or treat you. You know, this neighborhood, it just felt like, you know, it felt like, you know, hey, you're there to do our bidding. Like, bro, I live in the same neighborhood as you, right? Like, we're neighbors. We're all in this together. Like, you don't need to talk to me. Like, dude, it gets heated in there, bro. I mean, I'm talking heated. And just like right now, like for us, like I live in the townhomes, and we have a muse area, right? So you have 2 rows of townhomes, and in the middle, it's like a really nice, like, walkways, lighted walkways, palm trees, just really nice when we moved in. None of the lights have worked for over a year now. Like, and then they changed
What
it
do you
to
mean?
they don't work. The landscapers, because this is an all-inclusive community, right? So all of your landscaping is supposed to be taken care of by the HOA.
Okay.
So, but the way that they designed it is in these corners, right? They have these little lights, and they're on posts. Well, obviously, a landscaper on his mower is going to knock down said post almost every time. And they just didn't fix them. And so then we're going to the HOA now, and we're like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, we're trying to bid it out, but it's too expensive. We don't have the money.
How much do you pay in dues every month?
I pay $400 every month.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You pay $400 a month in HOA fees
and $500 a month in taxes. For
the taxes, I
a
get
townhome.
Yeah,
I have no land.
I'm paying $500 a month.
I have no land.
That's in the house, so
like,
bro. I don't know what to tell you.
It's absolutely just it's terrible. Like, you know, so like I said, they had all-inclusive landscaping company, right? So the first company, like, it started off great, man. When we moved in there, this community was absolutely beautiful. Towards the end of it, they got frustrated with all of the housing complaints, because that's all that the homeowners do is complain about their lawns and this, that, and the other, which they did screw up a lot. But then they just didn't really care, right? They were coming towards the end. They just stopped mowing. But guess what? My beautiful bonehead board of directors with Toll Brothers, who did the initial contract, prepaid them 6 months. So they were already paid through the end of the contract. So they just stopped trimming bushes. They stopped doing everything. So then the new company comes in. And for whatever reason, the landscape committee in this didn't negotiate anything. So like we have like these like evergreen looking things going down the alleyways on both sides. They haven't been trimmed in probably a year. Like I have a cypress or something like on the front of my house, right? Those big like Italian things that go up, and they only trim up to about 10 feet. And then the top is just like a giant exploding, know what?
Like a mushroom?
Yeah. It's just, it's quite lovely. And our pool's not even heated, bro. I think that's the biggest one. Like, you gotta have a heated community pool in Florida, right? Because you need to be able to use it year round, especially when you're paying that kind of scratch. And
I mean, if I was paying $500 a month, I would expect a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's just be careful with that. It's just,
I got lucky that, there was a guy here doing the yard the other day, and we were like, "Oh, hey, blah blah blah, are you under contract?" He goes, "Yeah, the guy who owns the house hasn't paid me in 2 months. Stop answering my calls, blah blah blah." We're like, "All right, cool. Well, what do you charge a month?" And I'm waiting for a aggressive number to come out, because it's once a week, trims, bushes, everything, blah blah blah.
$100
like, for the month.
Yeah.
$80.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
It's not that you're hired, bro.
It's not that. Hey, I'll pay you those back 2 months you missed too, man. No big deal.
I'm like, welcome. We are gonna be great clients of yours, sir. Whatever. We appreciate you. Thank you for your time. So turns out, dude's got 25 houses.
Yeah.
Just in our community that he hits. He hits them all in one day, once a week. So and I'm starting to do the math. I'm like, all right, 80, 25. If you worked 4 days a week, you had 4 communities. Huh, not a bad living.
I didn't get the total there, though. What was the total?
Well, think about it, right? You're looking at...
Well, 80. No, you're doing the math in your head there, I thought.
I was doing the math in my head. I said 80, right, times 25 houses.
Well, now you're on a calculator, though.
That's $2,000. Let's say you had 4 communities, that's $8K a week, $32,000 a month.
Yeah. At an $80 price point.
Those guys work their butts off, though, man.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
hot
Well,
here,
that was another thing. So,
God
like,
bless them.
so I have a little courtyard because I'm on an in unit. And so, like, I have a courtyard, which most people don't. Like, so I do have a little bit of a side yard, but I have bushes that go around my fence. And the way that they built it, there was no entrance into said courtyard for the landscapers to trim the bushes properly. And I always had to go in there and do it. So we closed off the big hole at the thing with a 150-pound planter, right? So the dogs can't jump out. I put a gate in. So yesterday they come in, and the very first time that they trim the bushes, the guy opens the gate, goes in, and trims the bushes. I sent a picture of it to my father-in-law. I'm like, victory! After 3 years, I finally got them to trim my bushes. I go back out just to blow off the little of the extra, and I look, and as you know, I have artificial grass and a putting green out there. The guy put his trimmer, the motor side, and set it on the grass and melted the grass. So now I have a glob like this big of melted artificial turf. I told my wife, I was like, you know what? This is what do I do here, man? What? The very first time they come in there and do something, they ruin the grass. I don't know, man. Apparently, I must have been just a shitty person earlier in my life because I am paying for it left and right here today. I don't know. But I don't know. Enough about landscaping. Go ahead.
I literally just got off the phone with my wife 20 minutes ago, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm doing this. And she's now texting me 10 minutes into the show.
Hey, can you do this?
Oh, yeah. I'm like,
so I go down there and have breakfast, right? I'm getting ready. I'm like, all right, I'm going upstairs. She goes, where are you going? I said, I'm going upstairs. What are you doing up there? You doing stock still? No, Bianca. Today's Wednesday. I have a show to do. Oh, that's right. I'm like, how do you not know this? It's 3 days a week.
There's 8 people who watch this who depend on this.
There's 5 viewers right now.
Weekly.
There's 5 viewers just on Twitch.
Unbelievable.
We have 8 people watching right now. Shout out to all you 8 people. I hope one of them is Justice. We have a message retracted here. TJ, if you're gonna say it loud and proud. And Justice coming in with the F-Yo couch. Justice, I was really hoping that you were going to be here today, buddy, because we are going to get into it. We're going to talk about how the West was won and how sports is completely dominated by Western conferences. Let's start with the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. First of all, Justice, I am going to give you your kudos. You have nothing to be ashamed about. Miami had an absolute great season and even a more better playoff run, considering they lost the very first playoff game to the Atlanta Hawks. And we're supposed to be bounced by my Chicago Bulls to come back all the way, go to the finals. You actually won one in Denver. I don't know if that's a little bit more than, Denver lost. But still, you made it to the big show. You got those guys some experience that are on the bench, some of those deeper players. I think you're a couple pieces away. Jimmy Butler, or as we could call him, Jimmy James now, because he is not Jimmy Jordan. He is Robin. He needs a Batman. He is a great Robin. He will be there. He will be the guy that can defer off of the main guy, but he is not Jimmy Jordan. He needs some help. But hang your head high, buddy. Hang your head high because you had a great year. But to answer your question that you should have already typed in the chat, the Denver Nuggets stopped Yo Miami Heat. And Jeffrey has a little bit to say on this. I know he's a little bit passionate, a little bit hurt inside. Not so much that the Miami Heat lost, but because once again he bet our good friend Ian Zeese on this series again. And as the people know behind the scenes, Ian is not a very gracious winner. He, if he could rub your actual nose in dog shit and get away with it, he probably would. So he's got that to answer for too. But Jeffrey, what do you think, buddy?
It'll be a fun night at work tonight. But listen, I immediately pay my bets. Okay, I'm a Lannister. I always pay my bets. All right. I'll say this. Listen, I was wrong. One of the things that I hung my hat on was that I was going to fade Denver. I didn't think Denver was going to win the NBA championship this year. So when I went to go start picking in terms of playoffs and stuff like that, yeah, you take some long shots. You kind of bet against them because at the end of the day, you're just hoping that they don't win the NBA championship, right? If you're making those calls, they do. Jokic was amazing. Murray was great. Aaron Gordon played well. Michael Porter Jr. played well. Brown was a force to be reckoned with. Even Braun gave him good minutes as well too. So definitely big shout out to the Denver Nuggets. Congratulations to them. I was wrong. Everybody else was right. It's tough to say.
Whoa! Butler, somebody clip it. Somebody clip it.
Jimmy Butler, it was weird because especially, Miami played okay. They got up in the game, and we thought that there was a chance that Denver didn't come out. The crowds, we knew the crowd was going to be rocking for the last game. And there was a chance that Denver came out, was a little bit tight, wasn't really ready for that specific moment. I've been messing with my boy James Leak all playoffs, and I'm like, you guys are some puppies. You guys are not dogs. You don't have dogs in you. You guys are just some puppies. You're barking on the front porch, but you're not ready to get off of it yet. The way they won this game in terms of defense, in terms of playing hard nosed, in terms of battling back, congratulations, you have become the big dogs of the NBA. Shout out to y'all. But Jimmy, that was the wildest thing to me is that Jimmy took over for those 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, and you said, "Oh God, he's going to bring him back, isn't he? He's about to turn into the inhuman Jimmy Butler that we've seen in previous series here." And then it just stopped, and it was like if Jimmy could do this for 3 minute spurts, like we haven't seen that since the Boston series. Midway through the Boston series, pretty much, where something happened. He became very passive, and it wasn't like he wasn't getting to his spots. Jimmy would take these dribbles, he'd get to his spots where he was normally hitting pull-ups or hitting mid-range jumpers, and he would have a guy on him that he should beat, and then he was deferring and kicking out a lot. I don't know what happened. Mentally something changed or physically something changed, but something was very different there. But regardless, we're not here to make excuses. We are here to give our flowers when they are earned. Congratulations to the Denver Nuggets. It'll be interesting to see. I did give them a little flack in our group text because at the end of the day, they did go through 2 8 seeds, a 7 seed, and then a team with only 2 players on it, and Kevin Durant.
Here we go. Here we go.
Listen, can I finish my thought, please? What I'm saying is that while this was a great run and they played phenomenal and they were great, and I love Jokic and I love his demeanor, I love the way he is, I don't know if this kind of run is going to be sustainable for them for years to come. The West is going to continue to be loaded. It's going to continue to be tough. And I don't know if it will be a dynasty that we can look at, but I think Jamal Murray needs to get a little bit more love than he has been getting. He hurt his left hand too early in this series, never got talked about. He just wrapped it up, didn't care, and kept playing. But if you looked at his left hand, it was severely taped every single game. So yeah, it'll be great to see. And congratulations to Denver and all those fans out there. Aaron Gordon, you're kind of an idiot. I don't know if you saw the video of him in the streets with the people with his shirt off dancing around. And then about 45 minutes later, 10 people were shot right on that same street. So,
we got a couple things to unpack here. First, I want to talk about the schedule. Then we'll talk about the celebration. So I think that in the NBA, we have to get away from this whole seeding thing and what we feel the seeds are, because we've talked about numerous times that the teams don't even try until the playoffs. They really don't. And unless they're just, the number 1 seed and they have it so wrapped up or whatever. But to say that the LeBron James and the Lakers were a 7 seed, which they were, or an 8, whatever it was, but that team on paper was also getting good odds to win the championship. So I understand what you're saying, but we look at that a little bit differently. So okay, so the 1 seed, whatever, beat the 6th, 7th, 8th seed. We say, oh well, they're the 6th and 7th, 8th seed. But then on the other hand, we have the play-in, the literal last team on the other side that knocks out the 1 seed and the 2 seed, right? So, I mean, but we don't say anything like as far as Boston, as far as Milwaukee. I mean, we're disappointed, but it wasn't like we're like, oh, well, maybe they weren't the 1 seed. No, we say, well, Miami just played better. And I think that's the way we have to look at definitely going to the NBA Finals. Is the seeding, to me, is kind of a joke, especially with, we're talking about resting players. We're talking about players that might get hurt, and there's really no reason for them to come back any sooner than they need to improve a record. Let's be honest. We're playing for the chip. These guys just want to get in there. outside of the number 1 seed where you might get a little extra time off. The guys just want to get in there. And then when we get to the NBA Finals, we see a whole different the whole different thing. You know what I'm saying? We see a whole different game. And it really is a different game between the playoffs and the finals and the regular season. We see hustling on both sides of the courts. We actually see defense, which is a little bit shocking. But I will say that, Denver, congratulations. Shout out to our old coworker, Erin. She's got some kind of a lucky charm, right? She was a cheerleader for the Bucks, won the Super Bowl.
Oh, Bucks and Nuggets.
She goes out to the Denver Nuggets and dances for the Denver Nuggets. Wins an NBA Finals. That girl's got 2 championship rings, bro. That's awesome. Congratulations over there. But
Did I ever tell you that story about what she did? I don't want to get her in trouble.
Yeah,
let's
not.
The ashes and sprinkling them on the field.
I checked. Yeah, you did. I did.
Pretty incredible. Yeah. Shout out to Jamie O'Brien.
You know what, Justice? It's okay, buddy. We're gonna take it for you. We'll definitely have you on in the future after things have cooled down a little bit. Maybe not on Wednesday, but definitely. You know, good season, bro. Good season. But you know, back to your point where you're talking about Aaron Gordon out on the streets. I have never in my life understood why, when a city wins a national championship, human beings feel the need to go out and burn the place down. Never understood it. I understand celebrating. I understand being excited as a passionate sports fan. When the Chicago Cubs won the World Series, I mean, we sprayed some champagne bottles. We had a good time. We're not climbing on poles. We're not trying to rip stoplights down. You know, the worst one is Philly. You know what I'm saying? The worst one's Philly. Like, they literally greased their poles. Like, I don't understand that whole thing, bro. I don't understand it. Do you?
Agree? No. I don't understand anybody who greases their poles. It's tough. But you know, in terms of tearing down your city, yeah, just don't do it.
I don't get that, bro. Just celebrate. Just say, you know what, great job. When I was in St. Louis, when the Cardinals won the World Series, I was actually running the Hooters in downtown St. Louis. And I was at the game, and I get a call from my manager, like, you need to get back here, absolutely. And so I'm sprinting through, going through, and there's people standing on the bar. They're spraying beer on the televisions. They're, you know, Hooter girls are in the back cowering for their lives. I don't understand it, bro. We live in a society. Let's keep it together, right?
Were you there like, it's okay, I'll keep you safe?
No, what I did was I walked to the front door and I had a police officer sitting right there who was sitting down. I told him, dude, get your fucking ass up. Like, what are you doing? Hold the door. Not another person gets in this place. Nobody. And then my boss's wife was at the door trying to get in to go to the bathroom. I told her to go away. It was a good time. But yeah, we got it under control. But, you know, you just got to have some chaos. You got to have some law and order. And also out on the West, moving on, the Knights took away the Panthers. This series was pretty blah from the get-go. Cinderella struck midnight. Hats off to the Florida Panthers. I mean, they're knocking on the door. They just have a few other pieces to get that in. I don't know what those pieces might be. But, you know, that was a pretty boring series as well. And with that being said, both finals and both sports went 4-1 to the West. And I think as far as TV ratings, we can agree that wasn't good for anybody's bottom line.
Yeah. The only takeaway I had from this game, and I said it in the group text and nobody responded, but it was 8-3 with 1 minute and 10 seconds left, and Las Vegas was peppering the goal with shots. Is that like a normal hockey thing? They don't just like run it out, or is it because I don't know. I was like a little like, whoa, bro! Like, you're literally like, there were some hits going on. There was some, you know, there was 4 dudes in front of the goalie, all trying to get it in there. I was like, man, we were really, really trying for this 6-goal lead.
Yeah, because I will tell you this, and as Ian knows, it's in the chat. No lead is safe. No lead is safe in the NHL.
It's 6 goals. 5 goals with 1 minute left. The Panthers had pretty much given up. It's like that old.
Well, let me ask you a question.
The ball out, and the guy comes from behind him and steals it and goes down and like.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Go.
Right at the end of the day, right? You know you're going to win a Stanley Cup. Okay. Would you like to have a goal in said Stanley Cup? Would you like to say I scored a goal in the Stanley Cup? Boom. There it is. There's your answer right there. Yes, 2 goals. Whose 2 goals is the worst lead in hockey, as Ian just pointed out.
What about 6, Ian? Is that a bad lead in hockey?
You never know. You just never know. In other news, we did have some
liking and subscribing, Ian.
Yes, thank you, Ian. Looking forward to our DC trip. Did you buy those tickets? Did you see those tickets he sent out?
Yeah.
I'm in, baby. I already got the approval from the wife. Well, actually, I didn't really, but
whatever. No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I literally just said, "Do we have anything going on?" And she said, "No." I said, "Okay, I'm going to Washington with Ian for the Bears game." So there it is. Boom. Yep. It should be a good time. Good time.
Jealous. Stay at the JW.
Well, I'm saying wherever Ian's discount takes us.
Yeah, that's true.
So in other news, a rare sport that we don't really talk about a whole lot is the MLS. For those of you who don't know, that is Major League Soccer in the United States, with a big deal coming out of Miami. Leo? We'll just say Leo. Leo Messi has signed with Miami. David Beckham's team there rejoined the bad boys of soccer with a huge deal that is going to absolutely catapult that team into the national ratings. I know you had a few things you want to talk about on that one before we get into Gap Wedge Wednesday. I'm going to let you take it over there and interject where I see.
I do want to bring the boys in pretty early today as well, too, just because we do have the U.S. Open going on this week. And so there's a lot to get to, a lot to break down. But yes, this deal was very interesting to me, and I was looking at it, and obviously, when these guys sign these soccer deals, and you see numbers thrown around like $1.6 billion and stuff like that was offered from the Saudis, and then they opt in to go with Miami. And I had the opinion of one of the reasons that you do that is also because of exposure, right? We're not talking about Cristiano Ronaldo right now and the team that he's playing for at all. You basically have to go take your bag and just be out of the spotlight for multiple years, which if you're trying to sustain your brand is going to be really tough sometimes. So from Messi's point of view, I understood why he did it. Now, and then I started to get into a little bit of the contract and the way that it was. And, he's getting percentage points. Basically, Messi is off of Apple TV Plus views and subscriptions that they get as well, too, if I'm correct. He's also getting money based off of revenue sales for the club as well. Is that correct? Ticket sales and merch, or ticket sales and merch?
He's part owner. He's part owner.
And then plus what he has. Now, the other thing that's built into his contract, which is really cool, which is the same thing that David Beckham did. And obviously David Beckham is now the owner over there at Miami, Inter Miami. But what David Beckham did is when he came over to the MLS years ago, and it was one of the biggest, most historic signings in MLS history, because you had this guy who was coming off of being in his peak in the Premier League, and he finally somebody jumped ship to go over to MLS. He was one of the first dominoes to fall, as well as Kaká here in Orlando City as well, too. What he did was he built into his contract, not only was he going to get paid, but he wanted a clause that said whenever there was an expansion team in the MLS that he had first rights on him, and it was a $25 million buy-in. So he got that, and his $25 million buy-in has now gone to buy Inter Miami. That $25 million investment has now turned into what is almost $700 million based off of that. So a lot of times we look at these contracts and we think about like a small snapshot of basically how things are going to go. But in reality, these guys are looking much longer term. And for, a guy like Messi or Beckham to be over here and live in cities like LA or Miami, and have all the means and funds in the world, and to raise their family there, that is a great opportunity and a great option for them. Welcome to the state of Florida, Messi. It's a pleasure to have you. If you need anything, you come let us know. We got the city of Orlando locked down over here. You need some tickets to Disney, whatever you need, man. Just come let us know. We'll make sure you take care of, okay?
You know what's crazy? I think when you get to that level, Disney just gives you tickets.
Give you VIP tours.
Yeah, they just give you, hey, bro, come check it out. Yeah, it's absolutely great, for the MLS once again, because I will say after David Beckham kind of left, the MLS has kind of faded a little bit out of the spotlight. We do have the one guy who's really the loudmouth, Zazar or something like that. Zara.
Who?
Jeremy's typing. I know he's he is a guy that came over. Basically, he said he's the best soccer player in the world.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who
Zlatan.
So he just retired right over in his home country. I'm not sure where he's from. Maybe Jeremy could say it, but he retired, and
Sweden.
I saw this. Sweden. Well, he was basically retiring from this football club, and they were booing him.
Yes, I did see that.
And he goes, yeah, that's okay. You can boo me. At the end of the day, I'm here, you're there, and you should be honored to be in the presence of Zlatan.
That's what I was saying. That guy was an arrogant asshole, bro. And
did you watch Ted Lasso this year?
I'm not on. I haven't gone through there yet. No.
Okay, because they have a guy who plays like a very similar character as Ibrahimovic, and his name is like Zaza or something like that.
That's where I got it from, but I knew it was something with the Z. But yeah, what a great deal. And like you were talking about, this is building generational wealth. So yeah, you could have went and played the Saudis for $500 million. But at the end of the day, unless you have a citizenship in one of those countries, in Dubai or something of that nature, that's getting taxed. And we all know the tax rate at that kind of money, it drops it pretty much right in half right off the rip. This is something that, like I said, David Beckham's doing. This is generational wealth. This is the same thing that some of the NBA players are trying to do. This is the same thing that we've seen Michael Jordan do, Magic Johnson. They're buying into a team to create a legacy that continues to generate wealth down the line, right? I mean, we're looking at, people that have bought these franchises for $200 million that are now worth billions of dollars. Mark Cuban down there bought the $280 million. Now it's worth like $2 or $3 billion. So this is the type of thing that they're, like you said, they're setting up their family for generational wealth. It's something that's always going to come in. There's always going to be a paycheck. The one question I'm going to pose to you before we move on to golf here is, as we continue to see the growth of soccer in the United States, and as we continue to see the influx of immigrants into the United States that have more of a passion for this, at what point or down the road can Major League Soccer compete with Premier League and Champions League soccer in Europe?
No.
In terms of popularity, excitement for the sport?
Never.
I would agree.
Not in the U.S.
I would agree.
It'll never be that. And listen, I don't know how to put this. The best MLS team in all the United States would not beat the second tier team in most European leagues or in South American leagues.
I would agree with that.
And we don't spend the money. We don't frequent the venues. I was actually having this argument with Jeremy last night about we were talking about the city of Orlando, and I was talking about the Magic attendance this year, because the Magic attendance this year was really, really good. And for how many seats they have, and how many seats they consider, whatever. And he thought that it would actually be Orlando City with a higher percentage of seats filled, and it wasn't. It was actually the Orlando Magic, and you know how big Orlando City is here in this town. So
I remember how big it used to be. I remember when Kaká, and even I was into it then. I mean, we were talking about getting season tickets, and then some things happened with the ownership there, and it kind of really turned a dark turn. I understand it's coming back now. But I will say, it is the fastest growing sport in the United States. And more and more times I drive past little fields, and even in my little field out here, there's kids playing soccer every single day. I think that what you're talking about, those same with me, is America is just so diluted with sports, right? Whereas in Europe, you're really, baseball isn't as prevalent in Europe. I mean, it's kind of just basketball and soccer, right? I mean, cricket. I don't know. I think you have more of a closed avenue to focus on certain sports rather than in America, where it's pretty much, everything's good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, but to answer your question, yeah, I don't think we'll ever get to where they care about like Premier Leagues. It's not made for here in the U.S. I have an opinion about it, and this might be incorrect, but soccer, and you can bring the boys in too, it's fine. But soccer is a more of a rich person sport here in the United States.
Really?
In terms of the people who play it are mostly, they come from affluent places.
Really?
In my opinion.
Because when you look at the rest of the world, right? Because it doesn't cost anything to get into. You just need a ball.
Correct. But then they're playing for their lives to pull themselves out of poverty and situations like that. How many of the best soccer players from Brazil come from the favelas? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I
think
think
America.
I think that's anywhere, like that. Though, right? I mean, like, what strength is built from shambles. I don't know what the exact saying is, but like, to rise up out of the ashes into, I mean, that's just the way it is, because
like a phoenix.
Yeah, they want it.
But
they want it more because that's what
course, they're playing for their life. You know what I mean? Like, as opposed to here, and that's not to say, like, we're very comfortable and lazy. In my opinion, a lot of times as Americans, we live a very comfortable lifestyle, and I just don't think that we are like that, where we feel like that's the only way to get out. So. It's what it is.
I agree, but I think, like you said, you're going to see certain things, like the Jimmy Butler's story of the world. There's a prime example, right? Sleeping on people's couches, just trying to get through the night, became a superstar. I think that you have to have that fire, and I think that to your point, we do live a very good life, and even when we were growing up, it was a very good life as a middle class American. It was still very good life. Now it's a little bit tougher. I'm not gonna lie. Coming out, jobs are a little bit less. Factory jobs are gone. It's really becoming digital now. AI is getting into the mix. It's going to be tough. But like I said, I mean, we do live a very blessed life in the United States of America. We do have the opportunities that most countries don't have. And to your point, it does make us lazy. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amen. And speaking of America, speaking of the great country that we are in, we celebrate this week, and obviously Father's Day coming up this weekend as well too. And shout out to all the dads. We have 2 of them that are going to join us right now for our Gap Wedge Wednesday segment. But speaking of America, the U.S. Open, America's game, will start tomorrow. And we want to welcome in, our Gap Wedge Wednesday boys. Paul, Chad, how are we doing today?
Good morning, gentlemen.
It's good to have you guys. Welcome. It's an absolute pleasure. You guys sound invigorated, excited, ready to go. Let's jump right into it. RBC Canadian Open last week. Very funny moment. Obviously, not if you had Tommy Fleetwood like me, or, I'm assuming Paul. Paul, you had Tommy Fleetwood as well too?
Yeah.
That was
from the chat last week, but threw it up in the group chat. Tommy Fleetwood was the flagship.
That was the flagship, and of course he comes in, gets into was it the 4th playoff hole? Is that what I saw, Paul?
I think it went 4.
4.
Yeah, it went 18, 9, and 18, right?
And then what, the 72-foot putt, the walk-off by Nick Taylor. Nick Taylor, correct? Was the winner there. Kind of a heartbreaker, but good for him. The Canadian, right, comes through. First time in, what, was it 69 years? I think is what we said, that a Canadian has actually won the RBC Canadian Open. So right. Pretty crazy to see there. And then, in true Canadian fashion, a guy like Adam Hadwin gets tackled by security for trying to spray champagne on his boys. They don't recognize who he is, right? Security guard separates Adam Hadwin's shoulder to where he can't compete in the U.S. Open. And his wife tweeted out about, what was the comment about, like, in true Canadian fashion, this pussy apologized to the security guard, like, or something like that.
I didn't see dislocated his shoulder.
Yeah, he dislocated his shoulder by getting tackled by the security guard.
No, that didn't happen.
So the you got.
Are you fake news, Jeff? Are you
serious?
You're fake news. Oh my! Get off TikTok, bro.
Stop listening to Ian.
We just talked about this at the bar last night, and you guys were agreeing with me.
Well, one of our
after how many beers?
I only had 3.
One of our favorite words on this podcast is parity. We like to talk about it as the equality between teams across leagues, and the fun thing that Weird Al Yankovic does. This was a parody account, so Tour News, or it used to be called PJ Tour with the UR switched around. They renamed that. They were, I believe, asked to rename that.
Jeff got.
How do you not give me a heads up? Is it just for this moment? For this moment right here to laugh at my pain?
I didn't think you were serious.
Yeah. What do you mean I wasn't serious?
Do you know how many people he's told
about it?
If you read our text,
Ian
said something about him separating his shoulder, and we literally said you got right there. So
I'll send you the screenshot. Yeah.
How am I supposed to know that that's what that's in reference to?
Because it was literally right under it.
He's
it was
not.
it was the answer to that.
He's not a smart man.
All right. Well, never mind. He didn't separate his shoulder.
No, he's fine. They put a safety vest in his locker, and there was a note from the USGA saying, "We hope it doesn't happen again."
Is
That's
that
pretty funny.
Is that
But
true?
if a Canadian wins the U.S. Open, that might happen again. You never know, because I don't think it's ever happened.
Buff.
A Canadian's never won the U.S. Open.
I don't know. That's a long.
I don't know if
history.
that's a fact, but
We're
I
at the
don't remember any of them.
Oh, well, I'm trying not to get got here anymore. I'm trying to be, 100% correct on what information I have. I can't believe you guys let me believe this for the past 3 days.
That was your boy that let you believe that put it on there. So
I thought I had two boys right here who I've seen for the past 3 days in a row, and
well, we never
allowed me to believe that.
I never talked to you about this, so
I don't need my business out in the street like that.
Too busy working. All right, whatever. Well, we'll move on. Congratulations, obviously. Nice hit on the boys too. Listen, every guy who you guys mentioned last week was right there in contention. Whether it was Hatton, obviously Chad was a big fade on McIlroy. I was on Rory. He does what Rory does and just doesn't show up in the final round, unfortunately. Historically, I feel like mathematically that cannot be correct the way that he always plays final rounds like that. But it's just the way it feels.
it's kind of scary, isn't it? If he
I
would,
don't.
Some would call that a choke artist.
I don't get it, dude.
yeah, I mean it's kind of fitting that Rory did that, and then Tommy Fleetwood choked on the 72nd hole. Nick Taylor made a 72-foot putt to win. It's just
72.
72.
No live, guys. Maybe Rory should have went to live. He'd win 54 holes,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Speaking of live guys, they are back in the mix this week. That we have here at the U.S. Open. Paul, what kind of course are we looking at, and what do we got going on this week?
We are in Los Angeles, California. Not 90210, but real close. We have 7,400-ish yards, 7,421. It's a par 70, but we have 5 par 3s and 3 par 5s. The grass, unlike a lot of the competition courses out in California, not going to be POA this week. We're on bent grass, so similar greens to Augusta. Big, undulating, got to be in the right spots, a lot of tiers, all that stuff. The same architect that designed this one designed Riviera. So similar to that one, you're going to have a fairly easy handshake hole. You start with a pretty simple par 5 birdie hole. It's going to average maybe 4.5 this week. So open up with a birdie and then get introduced to very long, difficult par 4. So that's as far as the course stats. A lot of talk about how long the rough is. It's a U.S. Open. Here's breaking news: the rough is going to be long at a U.S. Open. So that's about that.
I see some news on that though, that the rough is actually egregious for U.S. Open.
Yeah, because it's Bermuda around the green, so Bermuda's going to be a thicker, more penal rough than most of it. So
Penal.
You giggle every time we say that.
Every single time, dude. It's like
it's not penile.
It's penal. Yeah, penalized.
Penal.
What are we looking at? So we mentioned obviously par 70. Rough's going to be tough. Do we have a formula that we're looking at that we've projected to what it's going to look like this week? Are we looking for long hitters? Are we looking for guys who are putting well? What are we thinking in terms of the formula, and how are we breaking that down?
We're looking for guys who can hit fairways and greens. That's very big. These are actually wider fairways for a U.S. Open than normal, but the only thing is they're going to be very hard, and the ball's going to roll. It's going to just keep rolling. So you could be at the top of, and they're very hilly, so you can just be at the top of the fairway, and it can roll all the way through to the other side. So if it'll slope right to left, and you're playing as a right hand as a draw, or just a straight shot, you could hit the top of the fairway, and roll all the way down into the rough. So you're going to try to shape your shot opposite of the way that it flows in the fairway, so that way you can keep the ball in the fairway. And if you miss in certain spots, you're not going to have any shot at the flag. So even though they're wider, you're still going to hit certain spots in your fairway. So that's going to be pretty big this week.
Anybody we're looking at the top, obviously the top guys, if you're talking about a Scotty or a John or whatever, they're going to be pretty pricey. Is there anybody we think that is worth playing this week that's up in that top tier?
You don't have anyone in history who is hitting the ball better tee to green than Scotty Scheffler. Problem he's having is he's also putting the ball historically bad. Chad mentioned before we got on today that he's changed his putter this week. Is that right, Chad?
Yeah, he well, it's been talked. He's considered it. He's going to let us know on Thursday, but it's pretty possible he's going to change it because of the way he's been putting lately. He thinks it's the putter's fault, not his yips.
Yeah, it's the Indian, not the arrow.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, so
Okay. So we like Scotty Scheffler this week.
As far as that goes, if he's losing 7 to 8 shots to the field on the green, if he can bring that to field average, he's going to win the U.S. Open by 5. And we're talking about 15 strokes tee to green that he's beating the field by. He just can't make a putt. So, sure, if he gets a hot putter this week, newsflash, the number one golfer in the world, if he putts, he wins. I mean, we're not breaking anything over here. But the fact that he's 6.5 to 1, I can't bet it. I'm going to be late to the party on Scotty Scheffler.
Heard that.
Yeah, there's top 10s, top 20s, way better odds than, like, you can get double odds on a guy like Thigala or Eric Cole or someone like that. Just get a top 20, so.
Sam Stevens
is another one. Yeah, he's hitting the ball very well. He can do fairways and approach.
Middle tier wise, are those guys we're looking at? Obviously, Sam Stevens and some of those guys are going to be a little bit more long shots, but anybody in the middle that kind of stands out and we think has a chance to win this week, or at least place top 20?
Yeah, guys that you might get a decent number on, somewhere in the 40 to 60 range. You can still find numbers like that for Justin Rose, Ricky Fowler, who is quietly having a great season. Just looking at the stats that we put together, you have we're working on a large model here, new course. We haven't played this one annually. Not a lot of history here. The Walker Cup, you're going to hear about the Walker Cup being played here. A lot of guys on that team. Scheffler was on that team, Doc Redman, Cam Champ, Morikawa, Will Zalatoris, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that doesn't help us when we're putting a model together. So what we have to do is take what the course is and kind of back it out from there. So we have 15 stats right now with varying specificity. So, for instance, one stat we used was 3-putt avoidance on bent grass greens that are firm and fast or lightning fast.
Pretty much Augusta style.
Right. And so if we look at just that stat, you have guys like Patrick Reed, Cameron Smith, Billy Horschel, Brian Harmon, Jason Day. Those are our top 5 in that particular stat. Scrambling gained. So guys who scramble well in on courses that have long rough. Tyler Montgomery, Patrick Reed, Matt Kuchar, Rory Ishikawa, Denny McCarthy. So I've said a name twice. He is a live guy, formerly known as Captain America, the U.S. Open. And if you're looking for a storyline coming off the recent news, last week we were, picking up the rubble of this merger and talking about it. You want to continue a narrative and go into Father's Day. If Patrick Reed is up there in the last final groups, That's must-see TV, kids.
Yeah, absolutely. My two whatabouts this week were actually Cam Smith and Patrick Reed. So it's interesting that you mentioned both those names. They are two live guys. I feel like live guys have performed pretty well as well too. Cam Smith, I just feel like his game might fit this course a little bit, but the Patrick Reed storyline would be absolutely incredible, especially with I think I saw that Monahan's not going to be there this week. He's recovering from some kind of a health issue or something like that.
Mental state.
It sounds very Urban Meyer-esque.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
He's having some kind of condition.
Yeah, we're not really sure what it is. It was pretty funny when I saw it come across. I'm like, what do you mean? So it looks like he will not be there, and his underlings are taking over day-to-day operations as of now, until he feels well enough to be back at work. So should be interesting to see. You mentioned a couple of long shots. Anybody else we like in that longer, throw a dart out there and maybe?
Yeah, Chad, if you want to talk about the long shot guys and maybe give a couple trends, I'll be right back.
Love that.
All right. Well, this is more of a cream of the crop type of event. It's not a lot of long shots that usually have a chance to win, because it's 9 of the last 10 winners of the U.S. Open have had a previous top 10 in the last two majors, one of the last two majors, to the PGA or the Masters. 6 of 7 have not won a major before. 8 of 10 have had a top 10 in the previous 2 starts. And since the PGA moved to May in front of the Open in 19, each winner in the last 4 years has already had a previous top 10 in the U.S. Open. So you're not looking at a lot of long shots that come in and win anymore. The way they've set them up, you do have your outliers like a Webb Simpson every now and then. It's like he's a fairway and approach guy, so. But you don't get a lot of those big numbers anymore. But you can play some of these guys that set up good by the model. That play them top 5, top 10, top 20, still get paid for it. Like that's the one thing I do is you're not always going to pick winners. That's hard as shit. So you play guys that you think are going to do well. Get your 3-to-1s to 10-to-1s. Throw some money on those. Get your top 10s, top 20s. That way you're not throwing your bankroll on all outrights. Some guys I would look at for that would be Wyndham Clark. I think he's like 85-to-1 or something like that. He's going to be probably, I'd say, 10-to-1-ish, maybe 8 to 10-to-1 on a top 10, probably 4-to-1 on a top 20. That's you throw 25, you get $100. So something like that. Mito Pereira, for some reason, I don't know why. I don't see. I mean, his proximity, his long iron game is good. So that's a key stat for like the PGA. He does well. He played well. We also saw him choke in 22. It's still bitter, but whatever. But he has a good long iron game. He sets up well for PGA Open or PGAs and U.S. Opens. He's going to be a long shot. Justin Thomas, for some reason, he's playing so bad right now, but he's a guy that steps up. And I think I saw his number like 40 or 45-to-1 that just, you have to bet that. I don't see how you don't, because that's a guy, he's a top-notch player. If he finds his game, he can beat anyone out there. So if I were a betting man, I would throw some money on him. Another guy I was looking at is Denny McCarthy. Last year he was top 10 at Memorial and then came in at 7th in the U.S. Open last year. He's backed that up again this year with a 2nd at the Memorial. So if he's riding hot again, then maybe he can pull something off. So those would be some guys I would look at.
Cool. Beautiful. We I think it's going to be a great week. It should be a lot of fun. So what time do they start teeing off tomorrow? Do you know? Because I know it's a little bit later for us because we're East Coast and they're West Coast. They're playing in LA.
I want to say that it's around 11 our time, something like that.
I feel like with Pebble, we always got like primetime golf.
Oh yeah,
too.
we're gonna
Like
on Sunday.
9:45 Eastern time is the first tee off.
Well, I'm just thinking about Sunday Father's Day, and
Oh, you know what's gonna be great because they're not gonna tee off till like probably 4:30.
Yeah, for like 4:30 or 5 o'clock our time, right? And then we'll have.
Yeah,
it
we're
on
gonna be
until,
watching.
Like
we're gonna be
8:30,
watching
9
golfing.
o'clock.
Yeah, so the last tee times are 5:16, and that's just for the first round. So yeah, to your
for
point.
the first round. Yeah, that's gonna be sick, dude. Oh, I can't wait. I hope. Anyway, whatever. I'm not gonna talk about it.
Tyson's gonna do some bumps to stay up for Sunday night.
What?
Jesus.
Wait,
Tyson's flying to Illinois actually today after he gets off the show. So no show on Friday, by the way. If you guys are looking to tune in on Friday, unfortunately we will be on another sabbatical until next week.
Are we gonna be looking for some people in Vegas that went and took out some hockey guys or something? Because that was Vegas Knights. Remember y'all made the joke game one of the NBA about last night I saw someone get murdered in Vegas. Some Panthers got killed.
Yeah, that was a tough one. What do you think about that? Pepper the goal. We don't 8-3 up.
We don't promote animal violence.
I don't really watch hockey. I didn't really see what happened, but you did say something about it. It was like, I feel like that's not very sportsmanship like.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, like when all these idiots in the NBA that they're up by 10 and they steal a ball with 3 seconds to go and dunk it.
That's what I was literally just what I just said. I just said that earlier this episode.
Don't let them.
How weird is it though this year with the NBA and NHL? How it was both the 8th seed in the East, both the 1st seed in the West, both went 5-1 or 4-1 in 5 games, and both Miami. That just shows that Florida's not as good as what everyone thinks.
Okay, here we go.
And that's we don't promote bestiality either, but the Panthers did get fucked last night.
Whoa! I didn't know we could say words like that on that.
Jeffrey's on one. Anything to wrap up the U.S. Open here? Anything, boys?
Just make some good picks. Stay away from those. Barrancas. There's a lot of barrancas. Those are also called canyons with rivers. So
they're former riverbeds.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. It's a Spanish term.
Don't
Whoa. All right.
Former riverbed.
We got to get into this.
I was trying to talk to Jeff there. Barranca.
Okay, they're former riverbeds that are in the golf course, you're saying?
Yes, and they are in play.
Are they played as a water hazard or a drop, or is it more of like
well, there's some that still have water in them.
Can you ground your club in them?
I don't believe so. I don't remember the whole rule change with the grounding the club in the waste area.
Waste areas are fine, but hazards are not.
Okay,
I do believe they're marked as lateral hazards.
Yeah,
they're lateral.
Some of them do have water in them still, so you will lose a stroke. But some of them you can play out of, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that'll be a fun little wrinkle.
But you don't want to have to play out of it, obviously, because then they'll. Oh, and one thing that's pretty funny is that Paul and I were talking earlier, like the way this course is set up, you are going to see some shots like we have out on the course from pros, and it's going to be exciting to watch those. It's always fun when you see a guy that this is his life, and he still makes shots like you do.
One of us.
We can go out there and chant that this week.
We can do it together too. Since I think we all. Tyson's going out of town, so unfortunately he's not going to come. But I think we're trying to get a little Father's Day golf thing going on Friday when we're off. So look forward to maybe sticking into the dirt and whipping up on good old Chad and Paul.
Good luck, but I think I'm starting to find my game again now that I play more than once a 4 months.
That's about all I play, so
that's bullshit.
It's about the same.
Well, you boys enjoy your Father's Day golf on Friday. I can't wait to hear the recap of the stories of who beat who and how much money was exchanged, of course, on the golf course.
It won't be too much money.
That's illegal.
Paul, you got any last thoughts on
Yeah, if I can do my one last thing,
Please.
our model currently shows 151 golfers. Ranked in that model at number 150 is Phil Mickelson.
Oh, come on.
So this would be a fade Phil week.
I don't think anybody has ever favored Phil at a U.S. Open, considering that's the one major he just cannot win.
He just won 2 years ago.
Just he's had a pretty good showing in the majors this year. You know, the second at Augusta
He
really
won the
involved him.
PGA 2
He's
years
never
ago.
he's
Didn't he?
never won the
whatever,
U.S. Open.
Correct. He's never won the U.S. Open.
Yeah, that I mean,
sorry, I was wrong for once.
Famously finished second to Payne Stewart.
Yeah, he's had a
Father's
couple
Day,
seconds,
he was-
a lot of top fives, a lot of top tens. Could
Well,
just
it's
never put it together. This might be his last shot, honestly.
Phil's the Canadian of America. Can't win his own major. Maybe they could tackle him if it happens.
yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, boys. Well, we appreciate you coming in, stopping by, imparting all that knowledge, making us some money this week. Make sure to follow their picks. Make sure to follow them on Twitter as well, too. We will be back next week for a big recap on the U.S. Open. In the meantime, boys, happy Father's Day to both of you. I know you guys are both amazing, amazing dads. You deserve everything in life. You deserve to enjoy yourself on Sunday. Hopefully you get all the blessings that you wanted as well, too.
As long as I'm watching the PGA wind down at 9, 10 o'clock at night, I'll be great.
Full of belly and a little bit of a buzz.
Oh, yeah.
GG's, boys. Thanks a lot for the insight. We'll talk to you again on next Wednesday.
Safe
See you
travels,
later.
Tyson. See you Friday.
There.
Guys.
So as Jeffrey did say, I am traveling back home to the great state of Illinois this weekend. So we will not be in town on Friday, so we will not have a show Friday. We do have F1 back this weekend, so we won't be able to do an F1 preview. They are in the great country of Canada, so times will be good. You don't have to wake up at the crack of dawn.
Are they okay with the fires going on and stuff? I mean, what are we?
Apparently.
Is that like, or like what part of Canada are they in?
I have no idea. None. No idea.
That's fair.
I thought so. You know, I think the fires are dying down anyway. I don't know. It'd be
Fires
very
are okay.
Yeah,
Ian
who
was
knows?
actually up in New York. Ian was up in New York, and he got out like right before it started to get really bad up there. Thankfully,
It's pretty crazy,
got
man.
out of there.
When you started to dig into that, there's like 35 or 40 different fires in Canada, and they all started at the same time.
They weren't controlled burns. They weren't supposed to be like a planned burn or anything.
At the same time, like 15% of Africa was on fire. And then there was all kinds of fires throughout Europe as well. Also, South America had a huge percentage of fires, all going on at the same time.
So what's your conspiracy theory? You have something working in that. I can see it in your head because you're
You know, it's just
so shiny.
there's just too many coincidences, right? When something, I mean, when you have like 2% of the world on fire at the same time, like, huh? What? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm way too tired for conspiracy theories today. I just,
We got to bring Buff on. Buff's got a few.
I tell you, so my neighbors right here to this, I talked to them yesterday because their air conditioner already went out of their house and their air handler. They've been out without air conditioner for 12 days, dude. Holy moly. And of course, we're in the 90s now. That had to be absolutely miserable. But they're both retired military. And supposedly, they have some friends in the Pentagon. But they're always telling me about some false flags that are going on, the doomsday events that are coming. When I put in my generator, he was putting in his generator. It's like, we're on the same page. I'm like, we are the same. Had a nice alien attack in Vegas. The aliens have landed out there. You know, there's laser beams being pointed from the sky down to the earth. I mean, flat earthers are really starting to gain traction in relative to where the sun's positioning and the way.
Chemtrails. You got to remember Bill Gates buying up in China, buying up all the farmland as well too. You know.
They're going after the vegetables now. That's why Bill Gates is buying up the farmland, because he can't infect you with the meats. Now he's going to the vegetables. I tell you, as we wrap this up, I saw a perfect thing on, I think it was one of those reels or something I sent to Bianca, because she's always on my ass about what to eat. The guy goes to make breakfast, right? And the first one comes up, and the guy goes, "Throw away all your white bread. It's killing you." So he's like, "Fuck, okay." And then he goes to like slice up a fruit. "Fruits and vegetables will be the death of you." He's like, "Well, shit." He throws that one away. Then he goes to make a burger. "Red meat will be the death of the world." And he's like, "Well, shit." I don't. So he ends up just he gets a water. He's like, "Wait." Okay, I can have that. But even that,
you shouldn't have it out of the bottle too, because the bottle, it gets transported around. And when the sun beats down on that water inside could have cancer containing
the plastic
chemicals.
the chemicals from the plastic been released in there,
exactly. So
I'm just living with all this wonderful C8 that I have in my body from my nonstick pans from back in the day. You remember that?
Dude, I don't pay attention anymore.
Oh,
should I put it in my body now? It's like,
it was with
I don't care.
What's the Hulk guy's name? Dark Waters, dude. Watch this movie. I'm telling you guys all right now, if you don't do anything for the rest of your life, whatever, watch this movie. It's called Dark Waters. And it's a true story about the DuPont paint company and how they've injected every single person on the planet with this thing that they knew was bad for you. This is true. They paid the largest settlement in history. And they're still operating. Watch it, dude. It's with the Hulk. Mark Ruffalo, is that his name? The guy plays Mark Ruffalo. He stars in it. Great show. Great movie. Watch it. You'll be amazed. Everyone needs content these days. Get on Netflix. Get somebody's password. Hack in there. Do what you got to do. Watch this movie, and we'll have a full report back next Monday. I want everyone's take on this.
There's not enough content out there, so make sure you create some yourself. I did watch a movie yesterday, actually. It was kind of nice, little afternoon. My mother-in-law is back in Brazil to tend to some family matters over there, and so I'm home with the boys, and we're chilling. And we watched this movie, the Flamin' Hot Cheeto movie. I don't know if you've seen the preview for it or whatever. Yeah. It's pretty good, pretty heartwarming. Another one of those, like, listen, dude, you should not be crying during the Flamin' Hot Cheeto movie. Like, at all. That's fucking ridiculous. And I'm over here tearing up on the fucking couch. I'm just...
Bro, you don't even talk to me about my emotions, dude. I'm watching the most random stuff in the world, and I'm like...
Yeah.
And even movies I've seen like 5-10 times.
My little sister's like, "Daddy, can we play hide and seek?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, we can play hide and seek, bro. Yeah, not a problem. Let's go do it."
My allergies are really flaring up.
Tough right now.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining in today. Appreciate you hanging out on the Hump Day show with the boys. Gap Wedge Wednesday, the U.S. Open. It's got to be must-see entertainment. We are in, if you remember from my previous shows, what I like to call the dark days of sports. When
Sucks.
We only have baseball to get us through until college football kicks off in about 60 days.
Yeah, we'll talk about what we're gonna do for scheduling wise for shows going forward, but might have a lighter summer when it comes to content. We'll
summer, but we are going to get into it. We're going to break down some of the conferences going into it. We're going to look at the NFL conferences, the collegiate conferences. I'll have a deep dive into Florida. My friend over here will have a deep dive into Florida State. We'll analyze which one of our teams is
champions this year.
Oh, geez. Well, obviously, we're just going to throw dog shit on whatever and see if it sticks. So we're just going to make bold assessments. We're going to throw it out there. We're looking at some futures.
Not that bold.
We're going to get everything done. We're going to get it all done. We're going to present it for you, and we will. They do have good odds. I'll give you that.
I do want to give a big shout out as well to whether you are a father of a human or a dog or whatever you describe it as. If you are a male and a parent to something, happy Father's Day to you. Congratulations on life and taking on that responsibility and loving and caring for whatever it is that you have. congratulations. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. I hope you guys have a great one. I hope you get everything that you want from the people who are taking care of you on that day as well.
And absolutely, I will sentiment that as well, and I will tell you directly, Happy Father's Day to you, Jeffrey. Happy
Thanks,
Father's Day to all the fathers out there who have gone through life with one of the greatest gifts of all. I hope you enjoy your day, not only Sunday, but every other day after that. We will be back next Monday, refreshed with some drama to talk about. Who knows what's going to happen? Can anybody stop Red Bull this weekend? We will see. Everybody have a great day.
No.
Keep playing.